We're caught in a trap. They can't walk up. We love our children and our baby. And why can't they see what they're doing to me when they don't hear the words we're saying? This world won't hold together. We're suspicious. Mind came to a border with a dream. They found suspicious. And when we say what we know, they tell us where we can go. Only darkness in their heart and in their mind. So we say it again. They just mock us and they grin. How many tears in God's world will be crying? This world won't hold together. We're suspicious mind came to a border with their dream. We find suspicious mind. How many children will die if we let them stay blind? We must now take the time to help them today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're caught in a trap. They can't get out. But we love our children and all our babies.
Hi, good afternoon. Will you please start off by giving me your name?
Sure, I'm Bishop Doug Fisher of the Diocese of Western Massachusetts, the Episcopal Diocese.
Good day, Bishop. My question to you is, what are your thoughts about today, and do you have any comments that you would like to add?
Sure. Well, I'm just here to support Danny and his work, but also as a bigger picture to support ministry to our veterans. In our diocese, our church, we've really committed ourselves to work with the veterans because it's similar to Matthew 25, where we're told, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was sick, you visited me. I think we can add to that. When I came home from war, when I came home from service to my country, you were there for me. And I think it's a real crisis in our country right now, the way way veterans are unemployed, the way they're treated, and we would really like to be there for them. One of the ways that we're attempting to do that is right here in Northampton. We have the Cathedral in the Night, and we know that a number of veterans go to Cathedral in the Night, and we're going to have an afternoon each week where we have lunch for veterans, in which, again, we give them some nourishing food, but also have conversation about what their lives are like and what their needs are and how churches and social services might be able to be there for them.
My name is Joe Ryan. I run Ryan Imported Car Repair in downtown Northampton. I've known my friend here, Dan Evans, since we were kids in grade school in Holyoke. Back in grade school in Holyoke, 1960s, we were in a much different society with there was definitely segregation between black and white children, and well, I never had any problems with my friend Dan, and I grew up in a family that we never talked really much about segregation. People were people, and you know, as long as the person was a good person at heart, there was no reason to have any doubts about them. And now, being in Northampton, things are different, and you know, we're still seeing each other and running into each other, and Put it on hold for a sec. There. Hi. So, back to business. Now that that's taken care of, just to say that Northampton is a diverse community with many different cultures and many different people, but we all get along. You know, there's no hatred, there's no fighting. People can have differences of opinion, but we don't need to bring it to bloodshed or bring it to fighting in the streets. People do protest, and people do have their chance to speak out and say what they want to say, but it doesn't come down to fighting or any other kinds of vicious assaults or any other types of violence. So, you know, Northampton is, you know, a blend of many different people, many different cultures. Whether you're gay or black or white or whatever your religions are, you're still one of us. So, I'm glad to be here, and it's a great place to live. Thank you.
Okay, back up.
So we also are trying to raise money for toddlers and other homeless people and vets who need our support, and the homeless shelters in town. So if there's any way you can help, thank you.
Downtown Daniel here again. This time we're at the second level of Thorns, inside of Jackson and Connor men's clothing store. We have the owner here who is one of our new proud supporters for our homeless veterans program and our Feed the Needy on the streets. I'd like for him to give a word of what prompted him to step up to the plate and take an active role in our situation.
I'm Will Rideau. I'm the new owner of Jackson and Connor in Thorns Marketplace. We just care a lot about the homeless in the area in particular, and also for our veterans who have served and sacrificed, given us so much. And it's really important that we take care of them, take care of the people who have given us so much.
And as I've said before to all of you folks out there listening, that's the Tuskegee Airmen's Homeless Veterans Fund. You can send any donation to the People's Bank, Holyoke, Mass. 01040, simply listed as Tuskegee Airmen, and it'll go right into the fund. God bless all of you out there, and thank you.
Thank you.
We are blessed with having had a past relationship with Joe, where when I was first starting the Tuskegee Airmen's Homeless Veterans Fund, which raises money for the homeless and veterans to help out with food and whatever needs they have. He was kind enough to help me secure some tickets to raffle off from the Celtics. Then he had his expandable brass band play at a show for us a couple of years back after that at the American Legion, right up behind the high school.
Bay State, yeah.
Right,
The Bay State.
and he has been a local pillar and a definite supporter of veterans and helping out when he can to support the homeless cause. And he can tell you a little more about how long he's been here, whatever.
I've actually been here for 40 years. This year was my 40th anniversary. We actually had a big party out in the parking lot in June where 6 different bands played. I was in 3 of them, and it wasn't the Expandable Brass Band though. The Expandable Brass Band is a really fun group. We had a really good time playing for that show that you did at the VFW in Bay State. It was, it's not really my band. It's really a horn band, and I just play tenor banjo in it, you can barely hear me most of the time. So banjo's not loud enough.
Well, like we say, it isn't about the one person, it's about the collective sound.
Uh-huh.
But also, when we have our support also goes as far as the Cathedral on the Night, which is an outdoor homeless church for the homeless right here on the streets. And we look forward to more of a relationship in the future. And I know I'll be here helping out wherever I can in the city. And Joe has always done his best to make this a better town and city, which we all love to live in.
Yes,
Thank
we do.
you.
Thank you.
Now let me give you my first messages to the world, which I started writing in January of 2020, and we call our total project at a Band-Aid. These are explanations of why I find it necessary to compose and author the two amendments. The first one is the amendment for equitable equality. The second is New Deal 2020, which when I wrote that song, people asked me, but now how are you going to make it happen, Daniel? Well, these readings will explain them as they go on. Part 1 of Cures Instead of Band-Aids. The great American discussion has begun. Our collective future is intertwined and engraved. Our children's children face adversities of enormous, astronomical proportions. No matter how we look, pray, or socialize, we, the people, are our own answer. We are the fourth wheel of government. We must undertake serious consideration about the issues that create a future of equitable honesty with ethically moral growth and upward mobility for all. Consider the proposed ballot initiative incorporated within Honesty and Equity Amendment in New Deal 2020. These are realistic, cost-effective solutions aimed at dredging the swamp, economic and judicial equity, health and educational upgrade, political process reforms, affirmative entitlements based on pureness of need as the only variable, and, of course, election process reform. I am a concerned liberal, conservative, registered as an independent, promoting the best of all ideas and promoting access to betterment for all. The strongest pillar of this foundation is that working America has skin in the game, has a large piece of the pie. It is possible to achieve a deficit-free America that is more prosperous for all workers and citizens. We must be mindful of how we play the game to win with honesty and equity that denote integrity. Part 2. People ask, who are the brothers and sisters of humanity? Number 1, believers that they who can pass a polygraph cannot be convicted by way of less than circumstantially overwhelming evidence. Number 2, he said, she said will become irrelevant should either fail. Number 3, realize that what the politicians of today and the courts of today grant us, the politicians and courts of tomorrow can take away. 4, well, that incorporated 3 and 4. 5, what we, the people, mandate and grant to ourselves, only we can take away. 6, we insist on the creation of an American medical, as we have our Obamacare, as they stated, with mass health option that cherry picks the best of both, with an option for all workers, no matter their status or their paycheck, to only pay 7.9 maximum for their insurance. Plus, if they have a family, cannot be made to pay more than 8.5 cents on a dollar. And that's of their spendable income, not their gross. Okay, number 7. Full-time pay nationwide minimum must be set at $12 an hour. Now, this $12 an hour works out on a 40-hour week to $24,960 a week before taxes. We also have created what we call the American Workers' Dividend. Every worker in America should be able to share in 2.5 cents on the dollar that comes in. Now, this is spread out with all of the hourly employees. So, just so I take a break in the middle, I want to emphasize, if you work at a 7-Eleven that brought in, let's just say on your shift they brought in $1,000. That means the workers sharing $25 that day. Just to give you a guideline that you can average it up. And we call it the American Workers' Dividend, which would be paid quarterly. So that would give people who are working at the bottom at least the opportunity, if they're single, to buddy up with someone Laverne and Shirley style, so to speak, and be able to live off of damn near $50,000 a year before their American Workers' Dividend. The way prices have escalated, this is a must, or many people will starve and be in the streets. What we see will just be the beginning. To go on to number 8, no government entity has leave to take away or eliminate any citizen's right to vote for any reason. Minimum estimates have documented a worldwide international GNP of $80 trillion. 25% of that 80 trillion worldly wealth is controlled by the United States, though we're only 5% of the world population. So you can understand how these figures work.
Yeah, let's move the mic a little closer. Just go to the back.
Oh, okay.
Sounds great though. Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Do we accept enabling more of the wants, needs, and desires of the few, or the one, to revel in more wealth, outweighing the needs, wants, and desires of the masses of many? Will we also relinquish our needs for planet Earth? Can we collectively point out any international injustices while so many tears are cried at our border? We cannot have positive, lasting effects in and on the international community until we can positively affect our own society. These initiatives endeavor to promote cures that enhance, educate, and rehabilitate as the path to self-empowerment. Poor is poor, and working to stay poor is paycheck poverty. Being homeless for lack of funds or access is still homelessness. Looking at an end that can't be seen. Instead of justifying our reasons and differences, we must work to eliminate what has caused these differences. Truth, as a given, eliminates all need of deception. We, the people, must not differentiate. What was not good for the goose will never be good for the gander. Now we'll hop around and I'll come right to the one I wrote this last January for Martin Luther King Day and Black History Month. And it starts with my slogan, "We're not gonna take it." As I attempt to follow the lead of the most perfect entity to grace this earth, I shall be mindful of the Sermon on the Mount when he said, "I will speak to whomever chooses to listen." In the Nixon era, Pete Townsend stated, "They'll be dancing in the streets with our children at our feet, and the morals we all worship will be gone." Gone has achieved fruition. 10 years after, stated, "I'd love to change the world, but I don't know what to do." Cures instead of Band-Aids, the Taylor-Floyd Honesty and Equity Amendment, make that the Honesty and Equitable Equality Amendment, and the Arbery Brooks New Deal 2020 will blueprint the pathway forward for we the people to breed honesty and equitable equality. Justly, the golden rule, pillar and cornerstone, applies with Moses, Jesus, the Dalai Lama, Gandhi, and Buddha, to mention a few. Neil Diamond perfectly stated, "The load, it doesn't weigh me down at all. It does not encumber me. He isn't heavy. He's my brother. And we're on our way to where we can share." If we do not address the unaddressed, if we do not create honesty and equitable equality, if we do not ratify New Deal 2020, will politics and courts, ethnicities, and socioeconomics ever be effectively addressed in even our great-grandchildren's lifetime? We, the people, must step up to the plate. Going back to the 1770s, John Adams stated, "What does not begin with honesty rarely ends in honesty." As Lester Chambers stated in the 1960s, the time has come today. The brothers and sisters of humanity, in tandem with all peace and justice and common ground associates, say, the time is past due today. I say, we can save God's world today. The tax-paying voters of America must mandate assurance that our students from day one of nursery school, preschool are taught, though we pray differently, look differently, and eat differently, we are all American. Why do we wait until adulthood and only if citizens enter the military to promote and insist that one America be the order of the day? Equal justice under equal law does not exist. In practice, it is discretionary. Houses of correction correct a minimum percentage of next to nothing. We, the people, must bring the necessary changes to fruition. If we do not, how many more generations will be at each other's throats, never coexisting in harmony? As Graham Nash stated in the 1970s, we can change our world, rearrange our world. It's dying if you believe in justice. It's dying if you believe in freedom. I say, we the people must open up the door. Ratification of the Taylor-Floyd Honesty and Equitable Equality Amendment, in tandem with the Arbery Brooks New Deal 2020, can do much to ensure that we don't get fooled again. We can mandate skin in the game. a piece of the pie. Preservation of personal pursuits of happiness. Not to include deeds deemed vile or restrictive, and no one gets raked over the coals. The destitute become working poor become middle class become upper middle class, and the affluent remain affluent. We must call dishonesty and deception out into the open air and sunlight. Accusers and whistleblowers must answer the self-definition of character questionnaire. Take the same polygraph that the Senate oversight committees require of all federal agents, publicly challenging the accused to do the same. So it boils down to, do not deceive the people, do not deceive thyself. Those who fear truth have crafted their own house of glass. It now surrounds. As I stated before, what was not good for the goose will never be good for the gander. Find Pioneer Valley Access TV programming at the website for www.northampton.org. Look for Northampton Open Media. You can find us weekly, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 on Channel 12 at 4 p.m. And you can also find my writings and reading on YouTube at Pioneer Valley Access TV. Have a blessed day and take to heart. Please share everywhere.
Great job, Brother Dave.